The Russian KGB Book of Alien Races is an alleged record of extraterrestrial encounters from 1946 to the early 2000s. The following is based on and inspired by these events.
Throughout history, humanity has fought wars, built fortresses, and developed weapons to defend against enemies. But how do you fight an enemy that walks unseen among us, controls our thoughts, and bends reality to their will? Governments and institutions deny the existence of these beings because secrecy is their greatest weapon. The less we believe, the easier it is for them to operate. The first step in defending humanity is to believe. This series exposes those invaders who threaten our existence. The blood drinkers, Hav-Hannuae-Kondras. For centuries, the legend of the vampire has haunted humanity, whispered in fearful tones across generations. From the shadowy depths of medieval Romania to the fog-laden highlands of Scotland, tales of creatures that stalk the night, feeding on the blood of the living, have persisted. But what if these stories were not myths? What if they were warnings? The truth is far more terrifying than folklore suggests. The Hav-Hannuae-Kondras are not creatures of superstition, but a sinister alien race that has walked among us for over 1,000 years. Their origins lie beyond our world, deep in the uncharted voids of the cosmos. Unlike humans, these entities do not consume food as we know it. Instead, they sustain themselves by absorbing life essence directly from blood. This grotesque necessity has tied them to our planet in ways we can barely comprehend. The first known encounter with the Hav-Hannuae-Kondras dates back to 934 AD in the dark forests of what is now Romania. Villagers spoke of pale-skinned beings that emerged from the wilderness, preying on livestock and, eventually, the people themselves. Their bodies, drained of blood, bore no signs of struggle, only 2 precise puncture wounds on the neck. What made these beings even more terrifying was their ability to blend into human society. Unlike the grotesque creatures depicted in folklore, the Hav-Hannuae-Kondras are eerily beautiful. With hypnotic eyes and an unnatural grace, they can charm and manipulate those who cross their path. This ability has allowed them to infiltrate the highest levels of human civilization, operating from the shadows while feeding on the unsuspecting. Throughout history, there have been rumors of secret deals between human leaders and these extraterrestrial predators. Documents leaked in the late 20th century suggest that certain world governments have allowed these beings to continue their ghastly harvest in exchange for knowledge and technology beyond our comprehension. If these reports are to be believed, entire populations may have been sacrificed to maintain this uneasy truce. The most compelling modern evidence of the Hav-Hannuae-Kondras surfaced in 1996 in Scotland. A series of unexplained livestock deaths mirrored the patterns described in ancient texts. The bodies were entirely exsanguinated, yet there were no signs of struggle or wounds beyond the telltale marks on their necks. Investigators found no footprints, no evidence of predators, and no rational explanation, only eerie silence and lingering dread. While historical records provide chilling hints of their presence, modern encounters have been even more unsettling. The Paris incident. 2003, a young woman named Isabelle Fournier vanished for 3 days after meeting a mysterious man at a cafe in Montmartre. When she was found wandering near the Seine, she had no memory of where she had been. Her skin was ghostly pale, and 2 small puncture wounds were discovered at the base of her neck. She suffered from extreme fatigue for months and was plagued by nightmares of glowing eyes staring at her from the darkness. The Texas case, 2011, in a small town outside Austin, a homeless shelter reported a strange man who would visit once a week, always at night. He never ate, never spoke much, and his presence left the other residents uneasy. Security cameras showed something chilling. His eyes would reflect light like those of an animal. One night, a resident was found unconscious in his bunk, his body drained of blood. The strange man never returned, and no suspect was ever caught. The Moscow subway disappearance. 2017 security footage from a metro station in Moscow captured a businessman entering an empty train car late at night. A tall, unnervingly still figure followed him inside. The train reached the next stop, but the businessman was gone. His briefcase and phone were found on the floor, but he was never seen again. Officials dismissed the case as an ordinary disappearance, but those who reviewed the footage noted something strange. The tall figure never blinked. The Hav-Hannuae-Kondras do not attack indiscriminately. They select their prey carefully, targeting those who will not be missed, drifters, the homeless, and individuals living on the fringes of society. However, their methods have evolved. Today, there are unsettling reports of people vanishing without a trace, only to reappear days later, dazed, weak, and unable to recall where they had been. Some speculate that the Hav-Hannuae-Kondras have found ways to harvest blood without killing their victims outright. A terrifying thought emerges. Could they have developed the ability to keep humans as living blood sources, ensuring a steady supply while avoiding suspicion? Although they appear human, the Hav-Hannuae-Kondras have certain telltale traits that betray their extraterrestrial origins. Their skin, though flawless, is strangely cold to the touch. Their pupils contract unnaturally in bright light, and their voices have an odd, almost melodic cadence. They rarely eat or drink in public, and prolonged exposure to them often leaves people feeling inexplicably weak or fatigued. Avoiding these entities requires vigilance. Do not engage with strangers who seem too perfect, too mesmerizing. If you ever wake with unexplained puncture marks on your body and an overwhelming sense of exhaustion, seek help immediately. You may have already been visited. The Hav-Hannuae-Kondras are not mere parasites. They are strategists. Their presence on Earth has persisted for over a millennium, suggesting a long-term agenda. Are they simply here to feed, or do they have a greater plan for humanity? Some researchers believe they are cultivating us, much like humans raise livestock. If this is true, then we must ask ourselves, how long until the harvest begins in earnest? They are still here, watching, waiting, feeding. The next time you hear an unexplained rustling outside your window in the dead of night, or feel an unshakable sense of dread while walking home alone, remember, the blood drinkers of the cosmos may be closer than you think.